Cheryl said to me this weekend, my hair is becoming a look. Makes me happy.
Kind of is. I don't
Yeah.
know if you're gonna be able to cut it, by the way. So
I I might trim it. I don't know if I'm ever gonna go
my
away
brother
from
was
it.
like, "You need to cut your hair," and I was like, "Yeah, I feel like that's a social construct you're trying to impart upon me." And I was like, "From the guy who had dreads for 5 years, had locks for 5 years. Welcome back. Today we're gonna talk about virtue signaling or progress. What's it all mean?" My name is Rodney.
I'm Keith, and I'm excited to talk about this today because I don't know what we're going to talk about, but I'm really, really looking forward to hearing what Rodney has to think on today's Dad Chronicle, the new name of
The
the
Dad
Daily
Chronicles.
Chronicle. Because, the reality is we set out to build this for our daughters for when they start their journey, to see the steps along the way, the things we think about, the things we talk about, and ultimately the steps that go into building what we're building. And so we decided, let's change the name and put it on the internet, build some community, and learn from you. So,
Yeah. All right. So I was talking to a mentor last week, and he was like, "What's what?" He was asking what my thought was on virtue signaling, which, for those who aren't aware, I mean, I'm guessing everybody's aware, but
I'm not super clear on it.
yeah. So for those not aware, it is uh, the projection of a virtue, of an ideal, that you want people to think that you have. So this moment after George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and uh, Black Lives Matters rallies happening all over and protests, companies all around the world have changed graphics and add logos and said things on Twitter. So obviously they are for Black Lives Matter. When maybe they are, or maybe they're signaling because there is a cost to not showing that you're with the movement. And so that's what I want to talk about today.
Mm-hmm.
Is the moment and is the response right now, is it progress or is it virtue signaling?
What's your take? I have some initial thoughts.
My take is that it's both. So I think, like, it's really easy to get frustrated because a company will be like, "Oh, I did a blackout day on Twitter and I put a black screen up and we were all for, change. We did it. Woo! All right, back to making money."
Yeah.
That'd be virtue signaling. Um, that being said, I can't think of a time in my life where almost every organization that I can think of said something about something that happened in a social um, in a social social justice space. So what I see from the progress side is that there is a cost, perceived or not, to not stepping up and saying something. That doesn't mean doing something, but like at least looking like you want to do something. There's a cost to that. And that hasn't existed before in this country, in my opinion. In fact, I think the cost has been higher on the other side, which is why most people remain silent. So I think there is progress, and I think there's a hell of a lot of virtue signaling too. But go.
Yeah. No, I actually, that was going to be my thought. There's, even at an individual level, there is a cost that hasn't, if you look at its opposite, its corollary from Kaepernick, if the NFL came out and spoke up against Black Lives Matter, there would have been a perceived cost that otherwise would have been negative towards the NFL
Mm-hmm.
after Colin Kaepernick, right? So they actually got away with not doing anything as an organization that they can't get away with anymore. As you see, they came out and said stuff, and Roger Goodell came out and said stuff. And you look at what happened with Drew Brees. Like, he got lambasted for continuing to hammer on the whole protest way of protesting argument, specifically around Colin Kaepernick. That didn't happen 3 years ago. So when I look at progress, I think that in of itself the fact that we are able to continue having this conversation in a way that it's out there, right? And organizations that may be virtue signaling, just the fact that they have to doesn't, or it shows progress, in my opinion. That
the markers moved, right, in
right.
society.
Is it as much progress as we all want? No. I mean, at the end of the day, and I think this is something that's really important, and this is why, moderates and the moderate conversation gets had a lot. There are 325 million people currently in this country, right? They're of all different generations, different ethnicities, different genders, and different identities. And to move the needle in a direction that we want in such mass takes a lot of effort and energy. So we have to take small wins, and it's not
Well, I
enough,
mean,
and we need more. But you have to look at them.
I think people confuse and conflate progress and winning.
Yeah, I
Like,
agree.
progress is literally an inch or a centimeter forward. Like, it is movement towards the direction of the thing that you're trying to achieve. And I want the CEO of Amazon and Google and Microsoft talking about Black Lives Matter, even if they feel like it's a social pressure making them do it because they'll get in trouble if they don't. Like, that didn't exist 6 months ago. It didn't exist 12 months ago. It didn't exist.
Right.
It definitely didn't exist 10 years ago. So there's progress. We're not done. We're not stopping. It's just like we got to keep moving.
I think the point to, and I heard this over the weekend, this idea that we need to, or I read this over the weekend, in order to continue the move forward, the recognition of the progress that we've made also has to be part of the conversation. Like, when you look at the progress that has been made since the establishment of the Constitution in 1776, like, there has been progress made. Is it enough? No. But we have to recognize it so we can keep moving forward. We just can't sit there and get complacent about it and say, oh, that's enough. Virtue signaling is enough. It's not enough, but it is progress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think? Oh, look at us with the hard-hitting questions.
The super specific journalistic integrity.
Eat your heart out, Ron Burgundy. What do you think, though? We want to know.
Yeah. Wait.